Today we're talking about the next Xbox. Wait, yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's right. We're going to be quoting a developer. That stuff's linked down below. Be sure not to check that out. Of course, do not take any additional context from other videos that were made about the same subject matter, including the additional RAM on the next systems, things like that, how they're going to be using the RAM and the hard drive together. That will ultimately result in some kind of crazy load times that are supposedly not possible in PC. Of course, we've talked about how we don't know how accurate this is, but it would be really, really cool, and have theorized on how this may be possible. Once again, this stuff could be applicable to both the PS5 and the Xbox Scarlett, as I've said before. But you know what? Today we're actually speaking on a developer, basically saying some things that we've said in the past. We're reconfirming. We're going to give some gameplay examples of maybe how some of this stuff is going to work, and of course theorize on how that RAM hard drive combination could improve things further.
The reason you haven't felt it is because it doesn't exist.
What is going on, guys? Dealer here, back again with yet another video talking Project Scarlett, and of course we do have a interview by a developer and Gaming Bolt. That source is linked down below. He is speaking on the SSD capabilities of these platforms and how they will benefit gamers. And at the end of the day, isn't that what this is all about? How these things can benefit gamers, what they can give back to you for your money. Are they even worth your money? Well, so far from everything that I've heard, they definitely will be. Insert skepticism here. I kid, but no, seriously, maybe I should be a bit more skeptical. After all, I'm predicting the future of these consoles. The problem is I've been pretty accurately doing this for years. And it's not that I'm using terms like PCI Express 4.0 because I read it in the latest dictionary, it's because I actually know what it does. The performance gain is negligible, anywhere from like 3 to 5 frames per second, but the real story is bandwidth, and we'll come back to this later in the video. So I want to start by giving two different quotes from the same developer regarding both the next generation memory systems of the Xbox and of course the SSD capability of next generation consoles. Then I'll give some examples of how you'll benefit from the speed boosts. I'll show them on screen. After all, they will probably market these systems on how fast they load. Afterwards, I'll give some more information on how I think they might, keyword might for additional context, achieve these faster speeds. So we have an interview featuring developer Tim Ash of Lost Wing. Now true, this guy isn't making the biggest game in the universe, but this is one of many interviews that we've covered on this channel. From AAA to indie developers, they all agree that next generation memory architectures will be much better. Now in regards to GDDR6, he says it's going to be a big boost to development. He follows that up by saying he is looking forward to working with the Xbox Scarlett. Now he's excited to work with GDDR6 because of its bandwidth, its latency. There are several reasons that it is far superior to GDDR5 and even GDDR5X. He also talks about the importance, the significance of these SSDs in next generation consoles. When asked, he does specifically reference the PlayStation 5, but as we all know, as revealed in the Project Scarlett trailer, the next Xbox will be using SSD technology as well. Now when asked about the solid state, Ash of Lost Wing says this: Lost Wing has a lot of respawning and hence reloading. Thankfully, we're very prompt on load times after the initial load, and while specifically referencing PS5, he says, but the advent of having high-performance SSDs on PS5 is a bigger deal for performance and immersion than many people realize. I've got both a TB 970 Pro and a TB 970 Evo, and there is a significant advantage to the kind of bandwidth these hard drives provide. Not only will the load times be substantially faster, but something as simple as browsing the store or the dashboard will be night and day. You should even notice better capturing of gameplay clips. Everything will be much better in that regard. So the question is, how will they leverage SSD bandwidth in addition to the system memory at the same time? Well, one way that is already confirmed is a virtual memory pool, meaning they have a partition of the hard drive blocked off for that memory use. What I'm getting from this is that they will store as much of the game in the actual RAM on the system as possible, and then whatever's left over will actually sit in this partition of SSD that will work in conjunction with the RAM itself. Meaning there is a section of your hard drive just for these games and the RAM utilization. How much, I don't know, but one leak did say anywhere from 32 to 64 gigabytes of that SSD. Meaning that what is on the higher end of that 64 gigabytes in addition to that system memory could potentially store your entire game in some kind of faster game cache. This would enable ridiculously fast load times. Now PCI Express 4.0 comes into the picture because I'm just spitballing here. If they find a way to leverage that kind of bandwidth that is twice that of PCI Express 3.0, but of course on a console they could truly make those load times near if non-existent. Again, the bandwidth of PCI Express 4.0 is the real story here, not the performance gain. That's why I've thought about this in regards to load times. It's got a lot to do with the underlying fabric of how data is transferred. And again, I could be wrong, but if they find a way to leverage this on a console, they could boost load times there. Now, the reason that I have to repeat myself so often is because people don't listen. Some have pointed out that older games can pretty much instantly load in a few seconds on PC today. And as I've already said, we're not talking about games that do not surpass the frame buffer of your graphics card. For instance, Mud Runner on the Xbox One X. Keep in mind, this is a 5400 RPM hard drive. Look how fast this game loads. You want to know why? It's because the entire game fits inside of the available memory for gaming on the Xbox One X. As we know, there's 12 overall and 9 for games, 3 for the operating system. So again, the Xbox One X acts as a RAM disk, basically storing the entire game on the much faster memory over the hard drive. Older games on PC that are being played on a graphics card with a good amount of VRAM and a fast storage solution should do the same thing. But again, think this type of effect on big modern games. Something that is, to my knowledge, not possible on PC right now. And if it is, maybe you can let me know. But any AAA game that is 30 to 50 gigabytes does not load this quickly. At least I've never experienced it, and my rig is a ridiculous monster that costs me way too much. So now that we've reclarified everything for the few that couldn't keep up before, we can now show you some examples of how SSD technology can benefit your games. To be clear, you can use SSD technology on the consoles today. You can do internal SSDs on the PS4, you can do an internal SSD on the Xbox One with a little extra work, you can do external SSDs with both of these as well. Problem is, none of these are NVMe, which are much faster, much more bandwidth, much more lanes for data, and they can also experience some internal bottlenecking, things like that. So let's go ahead and show some examples of what I think improved load times may result in on these next systems. Again, just a theory, just having some fun. I think there will be a pretty substantial difference on modern games. So let's start with, of course, Gears 5. We've got the game installed on the Xbox One X's internal. We've got the game installed on an external SSD. And I'll just throw this one up here because this is what I think, or what I'm hoping, the next Xbox will load this game in at. If you got a stopwatch at home, go ahead and click that button now. From left to right, we got the Xbox One X base hard drive. The middle is an SSD, Samsung, and of course the fictional next generation Xbox hard drive, which is already done loading. Now this is speculation, but I think it could be as quick or quicker than this. Finally, the external SSD is finally finished loading. That is a $200 Samsung T5. And then we've got the base hard drive, which is probably on fire right now. So if you've noticed, the fictional internal drive is about 3 or 4 times faster than the drive we have now on the Xbox One X. I suspect the real thing could be even faster than this, once again provided they use that cache. Let's go ahead and mess around with something like Fallout 4, a big hefty game with some pretty meaty load times. On the left you've got the stock Xbox One X hard drive, and of course on the right you've got the fictional one that at the very worst is only 4 times faster. Again, this game has a pretty hefty load time. Stock hard drive on the left, fictional internal next generation SSD on the right. It's hard to believe that the game could possibly load any faster than this on the next console, but to really achieve what they are saying, they need to hit this speed or faster at the very least. So as you see, if this does come out to be the case, it is very, very significant. I chose a low-level character in the game. I didn't have much loot, I didn't have much data on me. I figured it only gets worse if you got a big base in front of you or something like that. This was a simple load into the world of Fallout 4. And on the base hard drive of the Xbox One X, even though it is the fastest base internal hard drive of any console out there, it still takes quite some time to load. So again, do you think it'll be this fast? Do you think it'll be even faster? Microsoft's Aaron Greenberg seems to think that it will eradicate existing load times, or at least some existing load times of games today. And yes, games will inevitably get bigger, but smart software can compress those games in a more efficient manner. And even if it doesn't, you're still going to have a crazy leap when it comes to loading into things with SSD technology. Doesn't matter if all of the games double, triple in size, you're still going to load much faster than you do today. today. But hey, again, it's all just a theory. I had said before, I was told things behind the scenes by somebody that actually was involved in the project. That is absolutely true. If you believe me, you believe me. If you don't, you don't. I don't really care. This is how I think they will pull it off. And according to that person, the Scarlett has something in it that they wish that they could get on their PC today. I do not know what that is. I am just connecting the dots based off of all of these different things I'm seeing. Also, keep in mind that a lot of the naysayers are the same people that said the Xbox One X would not do 4K. They're the same ones that misquote the marketing behind the Xbox One X all of the time. They are the same ones that told me I was crazy when I told them the next Xbox and PlayStation would have ray tracing. They're the same guys that said Xbox One X will cost $700. I mean, the list goes on and on. So again, it's important to consider these things. But hey, let me know your thoughts down below. Yes, these load times are substantially faster, but keep in mind that these are not the only benefits you will receive while purchasing the next Xbox or the PlayStation 5. As far as the Xbox goes, you are getting a massive jump in performance as well as hardware accelerated ray tracing, which has been confirmed, along with, of course, that quantum leap in CPU power to suit that boost in GPU power that will unlock 60 FPS games, CPU demanding effects like volumetrics, more geometry, AI, simulation, destruction, etc. I've got to say 60 FPS is a big one for me, and I think more and more console guys will definitely come to that conclusion. But hey, let me know your thoughts down below. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, maybe learned something today. Share this with a buddy or two if you get a second, and of course subscribe if you are new. Check out the links down below. There's a Patreon. You can join the channel if you want to support content like this. Again, only got to repeat myself and re-clarify things because people don't listen and they only look at one video. Again, I'm Dealer. I'm out.